Another beautiful day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this particular spectacular one. This is a sports preview on Bua Community Voice. Yes, of course, we will be doing this the special way you know it for. And of course, this is proudly brought to you by MaxBet. By the way, my name is C.I. Zoro and I welcome you to the show. Today is promising to be another day to dissect and, of course, talk about one or two as regards football and everything that has to do with football. Today, we will be looking at the Premier League. Now, a lot of conversation has been coming on board as regards Premier League and how tough it has really been over the years. Now, talking about Premier League being tough, yes, it is something to really reckon with because we have the likes of the Bundesliga, we have the likes of the Serie A, the French League on, just to mention a few of them. Now, talking about those things right here, we're talking about the coaching ability, we're talking about the financial ability in those leagues, we're talking about the players and, of course, how they play. We're talking about, the popularity of those leagues and, of course, who actually dominates in most of those leagues. Now, talking about those things right now, we will be doing that with our two spectacular analysts who will be giving us what their takes are on this particular issue. Join us as we have a beautiful time together. Remember to drop your comments as regards what your opinions might look like. Like I said, this is proudly brought to you by MaxBet. Okay, yes, you are welcome back. This is still Sports Preview and brought to you by our friends at MaxBet. And of course, just like I told you, we will be doing this together, having to dissect what the Premier League and of course other leagues has to look like. Why do we really think that the Premier League is the toughest league in the world? Do you really agree with that? Don't you really agree that we have other leagues that are equally as tough as Premier League? That is what we are definitely going to be talking about. Again, my name is C.I. Zoro and of course I've got the man Born Free Joe with me this beautiful day. How are you doing, bro? I'm doing well. And yes, another beautiful lady with the glasses, that lady that decided to be on white amongst red, gentlemen, this beautiful day. How are you doing? You have a very nice smile. Did I tell you that today? You are. She's. You're welcome. You're welcome. Can I have a handshake? Okay. So today, yes, just like I said, we'll be talking about the intensity and the pace of that particular games as regards the different leagues, Bundesliga, the Premier League, the Serie A, the Ligue 1, and just to mention a few of them. And then, of course, we'll be talking about the quality of teams and the depth of the competition, where we tend to talk about how much these people play and then what makes it different from the next league, and then why you could say this league is big and then probably tough and the other one is not as big as and tough as the other one. And of course, we're going to be talking about the financial power, where we talk about the transfers and then of course signing in players and everything that has to do with the modalities. And then of course we will be talking about the performance in Europe at large, because here we have the likes of PSG, who was underrated, but now they are the champions of Europe and of course doing pretty well for themselves, because even as champions, they've proven over and over again with their game style that yes, we are really champions and we earned that particular title over time. And of course, we will, be talking about some of these things together today. Let me start from talking about where you actually think that particular tent should be made. Do you think it is, safe to say that Premier League is the toughest in the world right now? Remember, we had the Club World Cup where we had a lot of other clubs from Brazil, from the US, from Europe, from different places, even Africa, just to mention a few of them, that really competed. And we got to understand that there were clubs that we underrated that were doing pretty well. Just take a look at some of the clubs from Africa, some of them specifically from Brazil, and then of course some other clubs from US. I think they showed beyond reasonable doubt that yes, we really played well, or rather our leagues are really doing well enough for us to be in this competition and last up to the round of 16 and above the round of 16, of course. So now let's talk about it. Let me start from you, Chiwendo. Do you really think that the Premier League is or can be seen as the toughest league in the world?
I don't think Premier League is the toughest league. I will agree with you when you say Premier League is the most popular league, most viewed league, but to say that it is the toughest league, I beg to disagree because we have other leagues that have shown toughness. And like, I'm giving instance of the Spanish La Liga. They have shown that a lot of pedigrees have come out from that league. I'm talking about. You want to talk about individual trophies, you want to talk about club trophies, you always give it to the Spanish La Liga. So I think I don't agree with you that the Spanish La Liga, the Premier League, is tougher than the other league. I think to my own rating, I think I'll give it to the Spanish league because they have a lot of talent that is not on that is undermined or not really seen, but they have a lot going on in there. So I think the Spanish La Liga is better than the Premier League.
Now, when you say individual and club trophies, you probably have a point there. But then, I think they've had a particular pattern, right? The pattern has always been on shuffle. Let me use the word. If you're not talking about Atletico Madrid, you're talking about Barcelona. If you're not talking about Barcelona, you're talking about Real Madrid. It just hovers around the three major clubs, right? Now, but when you come to the Premier League, we get to shuffle around Sunderland in the top three this season, and then we probably would have the likes of Leicester coming from the relegations to pick up the Premier League. We have the likes of Chelsea. We have the likes of Tottenham, who we've seen over the years, and they've not really been relegated in the last, say, 10 years or more. And then we have the likes of other amazing clubs, in English Premier League. Now, at this point, do you think that if we were to judge by that particular standard, we could categorically say that the La Liga is still bigger than the Premier League?
Yes, I would say that because you say that the league itself on their own, Premier League is tough on their own,
Or
but you take these teams that you've mentioned, Tottenham Hotspur, we see that they're even showing in the Champions League. Take them away from the Premier League, let them compete with other leagues. You see, they cannot stand. When you take away a Spanish team from Spanish La Liga, take them to the European League, they perform well. They even go as far as going to win it, go as far as getting to the semi-final. So you cannot say a Sunderland team now is fighting tooth and nail with top teams in the Premier League, and then you take them away from the Premier League, and what is the result like? So it's not about being tough in your league. We're talking about how do we measure it? You're comfortable in your home room. Let's take you away from there. Go to other places and see. Let's see your performance. It's always not always the same way. Aside from Liverpool, aside from Manchester United, aside from Chelsea, aside from Manchester City, who just started entering into the big boys league, aside these people, Arsenal, can you say that Tottenham Hotspur has been able to perform very well aside last season where they won the Europa League? Can you say these other teams, when they leave the Premier League setting and go to the European League, are they doing well there? That's what we're talking about. Not just being fighting to the nail with a team. I mean, it's organized. Yes, I understand. It's always a fight and fight to the end. Even in Leicester City, who won the league with in the Premier League, when they went to the Europa League, what happened to them? They couldn't even survive. That's what we're talking about. So you are doing well in your league does not guarantee. We've seen a Real Madrid who is not doing well in his league comes to the Europa League and even win the league. They even come to the Europa League and even get to the semi-finals, get to the quarterfinals. That's what we're talking about. You don't tell me you're doing well in your league, but you don't come out outside that your league. We don't find you exciting anymore.
Okay. I think I'm disagreeing with what she said.
Because I was about to ask you,
going to disagree.
what are your
Present
takes on
now,
this?
let's analyze the past two seasons. That is 2023 season, 2024 season, to this current season, which is 2025. How often has this Premier League side managed Europe? They have done wonderfully well. We had West Ham do it in 2023. We had what is called Chelsea and Tottenham great in 2024 season. And presently now, with the current Champions League stands now, you have the Premier League side in the first 2-3 when it comes to table, the ranking there. So when you talk about being strong, all these other teams, you have a team. Okay, let's go to Germany. You just have Bayern Munich of every season. Is Bayern Munich the only team in Germany? So when it comes to Germany, Bayern Munich is outstanding there. You go to Spain, you have Barca today, you have Real Madrid tomorrow. Even Atletico Madrid is they are being pushed outside when it comes to the trophies there. They are being pushed outside because they hardly see those trophies. You go to France, you just have it's a PSG game all through.
This is the same. You just
When you now come to England, how you analyze a team that a Premier League side that you can see someone from division from the English Premier League, you can see someone from a Division 1 team challenge someone in the Premier League, someone that has been going to the European League, challenge you to get there. And don't forget that Nottingham Forest were formerly champions of Europe in the past. No, I'm talking about current form. I'm talking about current form. But still, you can still backdate the history of the English Premier League. And when it comes to popularity, TV rights, the Premier League has it. Financial wise, the Premier League has it. You can't take it away from them. So when you say that they are not tough, I still wonder where the top. When you talk of toughness, you have to measure both the strength of the team and everything. The Premier League side may go into the European distance. At least Arsenal has played the finals of the Champions League.
How many times have they won it?
Relax. They played the finals of the Champions League. Chelsea has played the finals and won it. Manchester United have played the finals and won it. Liverpool has won it.
Can we talk? If you're talking about statistics, do you know that the combination of Premier League have won it 15 times, but only Barcelona and Real Madrid have won it 15 times. And now you still say that they are the toughest.
When you talk of the toughest, I'm talking about
statistics.
I'm telling you about statistics. You're talking about two teams, just two, in a league. In a league where they have about 20 people competing in a league, you just have just two.
Why can't Premier League bring out just that two? You're talking about Chelsea being tough. You're talking about Arsenal and all these people. How many
Take
of
it
them?
or leave it. Take it or leave it. The Premier League side. The Premier League is still the best and the strongest.
Now, you just
When it comes to financial spending, the highest presently was Liverpool, followed by Arsenal. The highest spending in the transfer windows, was Liverpool and Arsenal.
Is it
That is to tell you.
now is it about spending? Now that you
It's about spending.
is it productive?
It's about spending.
When he was the manager of Arsenal,
Yeah.
he wasn't winning trophy, but was he making money for Arsenal?
He was making.
So it's not about the spending. We're talking about how impactful this is. The spending you just talked about.
You make spendings.
Again, is it impactful?
Wait.
They are even better
You know
off
that
than
with time,
they were last season.
with time, you get to see that the leagues in the southern this thing, America will implode.
So now,
The Asian leagues.
now, I want
With time, it will cover other leagues.
Let's get into
Because the TV rights have been. When you talk about that's the major thing that determines a league.
Now you talked about the financial fair play and then how effective it is over time. Now let's really look into that square. Does it mean that or are you trying to say that the transfers and then signings the English teams have done over the past, say, a decade, it has not really been very impactful in their play?
Of course,
Let's really talk
in
about
the Spanish league, they believe more on their academic players. If you look at Barcelona, you see how many top players have they bought so heavy to come into the team. But if you look at their team, it's dominated by their own academy. Even this Messi we're all talking about came from their own academy. How many of Premier League academics have gone up to the top and individually they have been able to push themselves and get to the rank these Spanish players have been able to get to? That's what we're talking about. So it's not about you spending. You can spend millions, and at the same time, this same Premier League come to poach from the Spanish team. They come here to bring out players because they cannot. They don't value their own. They don't rate their own. They don't have. They don't believe. They don't have belief in their own academics. And then
when you talk of academy, Barcelona Academy is still learning when it comes to Premier League academy. When you have the likes of Arsenal,
how many of the players have been able to push themselves to get to the top?
Why not?
Mention them.
When it comes to Arsenal, in the academy,
Yes.
the likes of Thierry Henry started from the academy, and you saw where he ended. He played. Even Barcelona had to buy Henry after the Champions League final.
Okay, exceptional.
Not only that, you come again. You see Saka playing. You see the likes of Ljungberg played in the academy. Ljungberg, Rare. All these people play.
Individually, what did they win for themselves?
They got to the peak of their team.
They got to the peak of their life. Talking about what
You
did
cited
they
only
achieve?
Messi
You said it.
as your case study.
Yeah.
Let's get to
Messi is a different
other Barcelona players that came from
No other Barcelona player has been able to manage to suppress the likes of Messi.
So Luis Figo was what?
Luis Figo, where did he end?
Xavi. No, Xavi was what? Iniesta was what? Samuel Eto'o was what?
Wait, Eto'o was just a Barcelona player. He didn't start as an academy.
No, I'm talking about players that.
No, you talk about
when you talk about even Samuel Eto'o had to come from Inter Milan to play for Barcelona.
No, we're talking about players.
Henry had to come from Arsenal.
Okay, let's take away Samuel Eto'o. Now Xavi and Iniesta.
These ones are
Xavi, where did they come from?
They were mainly Spanish. And
Fabregas that even came to Arsenal, where was his academic team?
It was in this thing, Barcelona. But quite alright, the Catalonia has a good record when it comes to that. But when it comes to building stars, you come to England.
Okay,
if you be able to
English team collect ready-made.
Not ready-made.
Give the wrong.
Relax. I'll always make my case study when it comes to I'll always make my case study with Arsenal. Arsenal has managed to provide players for different teams in the world since the inception of Arsene Wenger.
Okay.
The academic team has managed to build players, and after building the players, you push it to other leagues to make the money.
Okay,
how many of them have had individual awards?
Let's
raise themselves to the even top 3. We're talking about when it comes to award. Now we're talking about not that they won. Individual award.
Cristiano Ronaldo started at least his first award individually came at a Manchester United player. But then aside from Cristiano Ronaldo, we've had over the years some other players who has
from
the Premier League.
Yes.
Aside Owen,
we had what is his name? David Beckham. These are English players that were playing in England to get their awards. What are we saying? When you talk of players, you see English team, they have it. It's just that when you come there, the stars are numbered. So you can't meet. It's not in a team where you have in a whole club, a country where you have total of like 20 clubs. You might just have just 2 teams managing the whole stars. It doesn't make sense. But here you can go to Tottenham and you see a star there.
Okay.
You go
now enough of the players right now. Just to conclude it right now.
That is what
let's talk about. Humphrey, calm down. Let's talk about the coaching abilities now. We've talked about the players' ability, just like you mentioned, individual performances and of course individual awards. Now let's talk about the coaches. Do you think that we have more exceptional coaches come from the Premier League, or do you think it comes from the Bundesliga, or do you think we have exceptional coaches from the Spanish league? You know, just to mention a few of them. Where do you think we have those exceptional coaches from? This is because some persons has actually said that the English Premier League has not had what we would call an already-made coach, except for the likes of as a Wenger, and then of course probably I can't even mention another person. I think Ateta. I think just to mention a few of them.
Let me tell you about when it comes to coaching.
Yeah,
Coaching is a different ball game. You have presently now, when you get to Bundesliga, you have company, Vincent Company, doing wonderfully well.
do you think he's doing well? No. Let's go.
When you talk about doing well,
I want to ask you
because he
something.
has good players.
Good. Is that the thing?
Wait, I'm bringing it down to all those things. I said when it comes to coaches, it's a different thing altogether. You go to, I started with Bundesliga.
Yeah.
You have the Vincent Company
Okay.
currently doing well there. You go to the Spain, you have the likes of Alonso, Xabi Alonso. He's doing well. And these are players that have managed to play in different leagues. They've rotated from Premier League to the La Liga to the Bundesliga. They built themselves in knowing almost all the league system. You come to England, you have Ateta doing well as a player and as a coach. You understand? So when you talk of this, you understand that coaching is a different system also. You may see a good coach going to another league and he's not doing anything because the team he is going there to. Yeah,
but could you say that the English Premier League coaches are overly technical and then technically smart? Let me use.
I won't say they are smart. You play the league gives you what you play. You understand? Your opponent determines the kind of game you're going to play.
So would you agree with that?
I think over time, if you look at the statistics, I think the Germans have been able to produce wonderful coaches. So if you're talking about the coaches who have been able to dominate, I will give it to the German league. They have been able to produce coaches. I'm talking about coaches who came to a team where they were struggling and be able to raise players that nobody thought that they have something to do. Let's give you instances. Jurgen Klopp, when he came to Liverpool were struggling, but he was able to manage Liverpool to get to where he is. I mean, people got to know about Mo Salah. We were talking about Mo Salah, courtesy of a man like Jurgen Klopp. Are you going to take it away from Thomas Tuchel? He has been fantastic as a coach. Nagelsmann, you want to talk about Hansi Flick, all these are Germans who have been able to prove that they are coaches in their own right. They are fantastic coaches. So you will not come and tell me that English. How many of the English coaches have been able to do well? Now, coaches that have been, if you take this Mikel Arteta now and take him out of Arsenal and take him to another league, will he be able to perform well? These are the things we're talking about. This Vincent Company just cited as an example, coached a Burnley team and took them to the relegation. Now went to the Germans, he got good players and he's doing well. Same thing with Pep Guardiola. You can't take Pep Guardiola and go to a club just like West Ham, who is struggling, and be able to bring out the best in them. No, he cannot succeed in such clubs. So if you are asking me to rate top clubs, top league who have been able to produce fantastic coaches, I'll give it to the Spanish league and then give it to the Italian leagues. These two leagues have been able to produce fantastic coaches who even come to the Premier League and win the league. Instances, Antonio Conte.
No, Antonio Conte has been a perfect as a coaching. He has been
it's
perfect.
It's not an Italian league. It's not an Italian.
And also, you won't take it away from Jose Mourinho.
Okay.
Jose Mourinho has also done that. Okay. He came from another league.
He came from the Portuguese.
Yes.
So now can we now say that
when it comes to coaching, let's take it away from that. When it comes to coaching, it goes all round. You can't just pick. But
just my last question now. My last question now. We talked about financial fair play at some point. So do you think we could beat our chest and say that money equates toughness of the team at this particular point? Because like we've seen Newcastle, we've seen Manchester City, we've seen some other clubs, that has even Chelsea during the reign of the former owner of Chelsea. I think a lot of persons saw Chelsea in a different light, not because Chelsea wasn't playing well before them, but Chelsea was an average team at the point. Now, having seen some of these things cited from the Premier League, do you think money equates toughness? Now, before I go into that, we've had Barcelona with financial instability, but they still make sense. Although it took a very big turn on them at some point, but then they actually still make sense. Real Madrid, oh yeah, we saw money walk there because they had one of the best players in the world. I think PSG at some point signed almost the highest players because we had Neymar, we had Lionel Messi, we had a lot of them, including Mbappe and just
Ibrahimovic.
yes, So do you think it's safe to say money equates toughness at this point?
I think at the long run, we just realize that money was not everything. I think it's about management and getting the right players in position, intact. Because we saw it with Pep Guardiola when he came into to the English league. We saw that he was, because he's known to always want ready-made players. But even with all the money they gave to him when he was in Bayern Munich, he tried and tried and tried. He couldn't win the Champions League. And then when he came to Manchester City, he did the same thing. You could see that he struggled in the first season, second season, before eventually he had to get it all together with all the money he spent. And we all saw what happened to Jurgen Klopp with little or nothing. He was able to package Liverpool and still won the Premier League, won Champions League. So it's not about, for me, I don't think it's about money. It's about having the right mindset and having the right kind of coach who understands the philosophy, practicality of handling a team. Because if you have a manager who, just like Arne Slot, I don't think that under Jurgen Klopp, you give him this kind of money, he will spend it this way. And the Slot spent getting a player for this amount, no, he would have gotten a player that eventually you will see the impact in the team. But so far so good, are we going to say that Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak are they being impactful in the team? Not yet, I understand. But if you put a Jurgen Klopp who understands the philosophy and understand what it means to manage a team, he would have gone for players that can fit into his philosophy and the traditions of the club. So I think it's not about the money, it's about the club, the manager itself who understands the philosophy of the club and the tradition, the historical facts of the club, and be able to use that knowledge he has to get the right players that can fit into the style of the club and to his own style. And I think that's what Pep Guardiola is beginning to do with Manchester City. He understands that these players fit into his style and then fit into the club philosophy. And that's why you see them doing well under him. But you can see that they are still struggling, even with all the money given to him to buy as he wants. There is no, I think, to me, I would say that Pep Guardiola's job is the safest job in the whole entire league because he's not troubled. He's doing well, he's not doing well. His job is still intact. Eventually, he may be the one to say, I don't want to work anymore. No, it's very hard for a owner to come and say, I want to sack him. That's to tell you, the man has been able to build something for himself as a manager and then something for himself as a team. The players respect him. So it's not about the money. It's about the owners understanding the philosophy of the club and then getting a manager that understands the philosophy of the club and understand how to get players that will work for the club.
Before I get to you, now talking about philosophy, you laid so much emphasis on philosophy, So does it mean that Mikel Arteta does not understand the philosophy of Arsenal?
I think he does, but the problem is he has not been able to get the right players that understand the philosophy of the club. Because Mikel Arteta has played for Arsenal almost all his life. He understands the philosophy, he understands everything. But at this point, the players do not. So he's trying to build it. Sometimes it takes time, and I think he's getting it right this season. He's beginning to pick up, he's beginning to understand, and he's getting the players that we need that will execute the plan. So, I mean, it takes time. And he's a young manager. So
what do you think about this money and
money most times determine the game. But like you may not get it in Europe, but in your league, you will dominate that league.
So who is that money?
Let's
Newcastle has not gotten to where we-
leave Newcastle out of it. Let's go to
But they have the money.
they have the money. Let's go to the French league where you have the likes of PSG. Before you hear of Olympique Marseille, before PSG came into Lyon, Olympique Marseille. But presently, for at least 10 years now on the road, you've been hearing of PSG, and this is money. Okay.
But they've still not been very fantastic because
now look at this. Look at last season. How many top names was in PSG?
That
It's
is
not
true.
about the money. It's about the coach
Yeah.
understanding the philosophy, and that's
Luis
what
Enrique
Enrique has been able to
Luis
do
Enrique went
with
there,
PSG.
and he went there. The money was there, and as a good coach, he managed it well.
How many stars did he buy?
See,
How many names do you hear that was outrageous? The amount they
the
bought
first
their
the time
How many of them?
the time they were buying the likes of Leo Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, Ibrahimovic, that time, if you check what was happening, they were just buying stars, and you see them buying just stars within one. They were not buying stars just because they were just the attackers. The names, if you check their leagues, then you see it's mainly the people that just scored goals. The defensive there was not there, but still they were carrying the domestic league. But when it gets to Europe, when they now play the tough of all the tough, you still see that it affects them. The likes of Arsenal, Mikel Arteta, let's bring it down to you. First 2 seasons he started as a manager. He got to the third, the second, and presently now, I think he's trying to get
the league is not even up to half.
no, it's not up to 11 matches, but with what you can foresee, he's doing well. So
We've always
he's trying. No. He's when last season.
Let's try
See,
again later.
last season,
Let's
a
try again
season
later.
before last,
Let's try
I
again.
can tell you that.
Try again.
I can tell you that categorically that Arsenal was never in that league then, because along the line
No, as an Arsenal fan, you are being truthful that last season they were not competing.
we were not competing because
for anything.
you see. Now,
I bet
there's something I said
I bet
when the league was about to start.
I could
I
bring
bet
a
to
clip. Wait, I
disagree
could bring a
with
clip
you.
where you said
I said
Arsenal
wait.
were going to win.
I didn't say they were going to win.
I said to disagree.
Wait, relax.
Even not even the league. A lot of Arsenal were talking about the Champions League because they got to that place where you will say, okay, I think they have a chance to win.
The Champions League.
Especially when they won against Madrid. It
See,
was all
we now
over
played
every
against.
year.
We played
How can you
against.
say as an Arsenal fan that you did not have the belief that you will win the Champions
No, I'm not talking about the Champions League. I was telling you about the league.
Hmm.
Presently now, you can see that in every position in the team now, Arsenal has a substitute for that.
Okay.
So try it.
Okay.
We'll try again this season.
So we're going to see Arsenal.
And see, there's something. One thing to talk about is consistency.
Please, can we not talk about it?
When you talk of
I have a lot to banter you. I have a lot to banter you. But after all serious, can we not just make it about Arsenal?
Arteta has managed to. Wait,
Okay.
I'm not talking about Arteta. I'm telling you that consistency now, Arteta has managed to.
And then he has managed, and what did he achieve at the end of the day? What
Okay,
major
see,
trophy has
okay,
he won?
now,
Now,
It took
you will not
I
even
wait.
when you're talking about best manager, you're talking about good manager.
It took Pep Guardiola 2 years.
You couldn't.
It took him 2 years to get the Premier League.
Okay,
It took him another 5 years to get the
How many years have Mikel Arteta been in the Premier League as Arsenal coach?
This is his 4th year.
And so, what has he achieved?
He's going to do something.
He's going to do something. But what has he been able
You guys are provoking the Arsenal, so let's leave this Arsenal discussion until later. We've had enough time to talk about what it looks like with the Premier League, with the Bundesliga, with the Ligue 1, the Serie A. I just mentioned a few of them, and then it's been quite interesting. But we're still asking you, the viewers, to tell us: do you think, just like I asked my last question, do you think that money equates toughness? What do you really think about that? You could actually drop your comments on that particular comment section. Remember, this is Bua Community Voice, and that is where we're reaching you from. And of course, we'll have a lot of other interesting things to engage, and of course, have a splendid time whenever you hop on and then, of course, subscribe to that particular page. Talking about that, it is proudly brought to you by our friends at MaxBet. Now, talking about sports preview specifically, and at this point, I have to thank my Arsenal man, Thank you very much. I wish we could extend more because
I hope so.
Like I said, we don't try fight.
No,
I had to calm down.
I'm going on getting to her leg. I think she'll be loyal this time.
Loyal.
Okay.
Even my own son that is even better than Arsenal.
Okay. We don't want to go into that. Thank you very much for being part of the show. And of course, we will be doing this again. Just join us, just like I said, on Abua Community Voice. A very big thank you to the man behind the camera. Yes, my very own man. And of course, to every other person that has been part of this show, a very big thank you to you. See you on the next episode. Adios, amigos.